Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry about the big old gap in video making. Unfortunately, it's been a pretty hectic time for me with exams and everything. If you saw my last video, you should already know that I've been kind of working pretty hard over the last few weeks, and so I haven't had much time to sort of get any videos recorded. But we're back today, just with a quick video. I got a few questions regarding my Vectis Riven videos over the past few weeks. Mainly about how I'm farming steel essence and things like that. So if you haven't seen my Umbral Necros video, I do kind of cover it a bit there. I don't go into full detail on how I farm steel essence, but yeah, that video pretty much covers the bases. But I thought today what I do is I go through kind of the real min-maxed kind of guide to how I farm steel essence. So the main things that we're going to need to know about this is that Steel Essence only drops from Acolytes now. It no longer drops from Eximus units like it used to in the past. So really, you get a pretty consistent rate of Steel Essence as you're farming. And a lot of people ask me, how do you get so much in a week to be able to get enough to do your 100 rerolls? And basically, I just make use of my cat. So obviously, it's been known for a while now that you can just kind of leave drops on the floor and just let your cat, stack up some buffs until you get a double drop booster. And then, yeah, you go and pick up all of the steel essences on the floor. And that's basically what this video is going to revolve around. But I'm going to make it kind of a bit more interesting for you guys because I want to show you how you can kind of make this a lot easier. And you don't have to worry so much about drops despawning. So obviously, once you've got a few rare drops on the floor, like the green drops, if they start stacking up, there's a chance that your steel essence is going to despawn. And I just want to sort of run through this guide here to kind of make you guys aware of how you can avoid that from happening, and you can get a decent amount of steel essence in a run. So the run that we're going to be looking at here, or the method that I'm going to be employing, usually grants you around 1.5 steel essence average per minute, which obviously over a course of 60 minutes, that farm would yield about 90 steel essence. Now that can be more, it can be less. I actually just finished one, and if we take a look at that, I think it went on for about 1 hour and 10, so 70 minutes, and we got 112 steel essence. So that's a pretty typical run for me. But we'll just have a quick look at the build here. So this is my Umbral Necros that I've showed off in previous videos. You don't actually need an Umbral Former on this, it's just that I didn't have anything else to put on there. You can comfortably fit this on without. As you can see, I've still got 10 capacity left over. So yeah, that's why we're doing that. Everything else on here is kind of tailored towards our melee and just staying alive. So we've got Shield of Shadows on for the kind of the tankiness element, I guess, for Necros. We've got Despoil just so we can keep our life support up. It helps with our Desecrate here so we don't run out of energy and we can keep casting our 4th ability. Health conversion for tankiness, equilibrium for energy. Everything else is tailored just to getting our Shield of Shadows to the maximum damage reduction. And then for our Arcanes, we're running Avenger and Fury. Again, this is just for our melee. So Avenger's going to increase our crit chance, and Fury's going to increase our melee damage. Then for our primary and secondary, it really doesn't matter. We're not going to be using them a whole lot. But I'd recommend going for weapons that can really kind of do a lot of damage over a large area, just because we want to be killing as many enemies as possible. But like I said, we're really not going to be using them that much, so do go ahead and use whatever you feel is most beneficial for you. Excuse me. And yeah, you don't actually need any Rivens for this build. I do have one on my Kuva new core, but that's just because I happen to have one, but you don't actually need any Rivens for this build. But yeah, so for the Kuva Brahma, for example, this is just a pretty standard build here. Just whacking up as much damage as we can. Same for the Kuva new core, although I've got this crit chance, crit damage Riven on. Everything else is just standard damage. And then this is what's going to be doing our main kind of serious on-hit damage for this game, and is what's going to be helping us to take out the Acolytes where we want them. So I don't have a Riven on this, but you don't even have to use the Sepfahn, which is what I'm using. You can use pretty much any Riven. You can use a Rabbi, for example, which has a really nice Riven disposition if you do want to get that for it, but this should serve completely fine. So this is the build that I'm running on it. So we've got Blood Rush, Gladiator Might. It's mainly stacked around crit. It's just to make sure that you have a crit chance over 100% is the key here. That way, with your Gladiator Might, you can consistently hit red crits when you are, up and around there. And most importantly, Exodia Contagion. This is what we're going to be using for killing our Acolytes. So do make sure that you have this Arcane on. It is probably the most important part of this build. So yeah. We'll keep that there. And then for our focus tree here, we're going to be running Nariman. This is simply for the melee combo counter ability, so that our melee combo counter stays very high for our Contagion, and we consistently hit red crits against the Acolytes when they spawn. So that's why we're using that. Everything else, and this is kind of an important aspect actually when it comes to farming. So our cat is going to be, basically I've made this as tanky as possible. So we've got Charm on. This is essentially what's going to be giving us our buffs. So every 27 seconds, you can see there's a 28% chance to bestow a buff to the owner. And one of these buffs is obviously going to be our double buff, our double drop, double resource booster. And these can overlap, so you can get more than one within the time period that this is active. So I think the standard time for it is 2 minutes. However, if you do have Tech Enhanced, then you can increase that up to, I think it's 155 seconds duration, so just over 2.5 minutes, which is really good because double buffs on this are really, really going to help us increase our Steel Essence drop rate. And everything else, again, gear it for tankiness. And lastly, what I would recommend doing is putting on Fetch. Now, obviously, we have to be careful here because this is going to be sucking in Steel Essence. So what I've done is I've put on a minimum rank Fetch, and you'll see why I've done that in a minute when we come to do the run here. But yeah, minimum rank Fetch, just so that we can consistently keep picking up drops that the enemies, like the standard mobs, are dropping, just to keep the drop counter for the rare resources low. That way, our Steel Essence won't despawn. So, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and just jump in to the mission here. So, you can do this on any map. However, if you are looking to specifically farm Steel Essence and no other resources, so for example, if you wanted to farm Polymer, then I'd probably recommend going on Uranus for that, and your standard resource farming maps for everything else. But if you're looking to farm specifically Steel Essence, Annie is probably your best bet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to explain the initial, the start to the run and how you want to sort of set your tile sets and what you want to be looking for in terms of rooms. And then we'll go ahead and show you how you can start, really utilizing your cat to get the most out of Steel Essence farming. So we'll be back in a bit. One note that I wanted to raise as well, guys, just before we pop in here, is that you also have Steel Essence alerts as well, or Steel Path incursions. Now, these drop 3 Essence every single time. So unless you think you can run one of these missions faster than a 1.5 per minute drop rate, I would recommend probably just ignoring them. So if there's a capture, for example, then go ahead and do that. You can usually do those fairly quickly. Same with rescues and sometimes sabotage missions. But otherwise, it's probably not worth it since you have to take into account load times and extraction times as well. So do bear that in mind when you're doing this. But yeah, we'll hop into the mission now. Okay, guys. So when you load into Annie, there'll be 2 starting tile sets that you can get. The first one you can get is in a room that's kind of on a single story level, and there'll be a sort of spiral staircase going up. You'll basically spawn in a very small room and go out into a larger hall room. That is the tile set that you do not want. This is the tile set that you do want. So if you spawn here in the room with the 2 pipes like this is a excellent tile set to spawn in. And I'll show you why. So basically the way that this tile set works is we are going to force the Acolyte to spawn in a specific location, at which point we are going to be able to throw our Exodia Contagion at him, where he is going to die instantly, and it will keep his Steel Essence well away from us and in a confined location. More than that, though, is that when we come to get sort of several of these dropping, we can keep all of them in the same spot without having to move. So if you are in this room and you stand at this spot here, the Acolyte will always spawn directly below you here. He will then move towards this staircase, come around and try and kill you. So what you want to try and do is you want to try and get your contagion to hit him at the bottom of these stairs. It doesn't matter if you hit him any earlier because we've got that minimum rank fetch on, which means that we're not going to be able to pick up the loot from this distance anyway, as if I go ahead and set a marker, you can see that it's just too far away. So our fetch at the moment is only drawing from 8.5 meters. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and demonstrate this in action, guys. What I would say is that it's probably worth finding one of these tile sets where the first life support capsule is not going to spawn under there through that door, just because you'll have to keep running past the steel essence to get back up to this spot. So do try and get one where the initial starting room is over here or over here after you've hit the alarm. Now, I know for a fact on this one that it is going to be over here or over here on this one, because as you can see on the map, there is a loot room over here. You can see that from the boxes. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do this. And what I'll do, guys, is I will skip forward to when the Acolyte spawns, and I'll show you guys how this works. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so for those of you who don't know, the Acolyte is able to spawn in endless missions every 3 to 7 minutes. Now I've done a bit of testing on this, and from what I can tell, that 7-minute or 3-minute period will not start, or it does start, sorry, when the Acolyte spawns, and not from when you kill the Acolyte. So basically what that means is that if I got an Acolyte that spawned at 3 minutes, even if I killed him at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, the next Acolyte could still technically spawn at 6 minutes from what I've observed. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, really, you're getting an average of about 1 Acolyte every 5 minutes. And if you assume that you have a double buff active for every single one of those drops, which you really should do using this method, then you're going to get 8 drops every 5 minutes, or 8 steel essence every 5 minutes, which is just over 1.5 steel essence every minute. Now, the other thing that I forgot to mention at the start of this video as well is that I am running Anomaly. This is a really, really useful tool to have on your operator. So if you guys don't know what Arcane Anomaly is, basically when you go into transference like this, you can suck enemies towards you, and it's just a really good method of grouping enemies, and first of all stacking your combo counter, and second of all clearing them with your contagion. Now, these enemies are obviously extremely high level. You can use your Kuva Brahma to destroy them, or even your Kuva Nucor if you wanted to, or whatever weapon you're using if you feel comfortable with it. But yeah, Contagion just does a stupid amount of damage, so shouldn't really be any need to use anything else in this example. But yeah, as you can see, we're just kind of sitting in this tile set that's adjacent to our starting spot. I would recommend trying to get a tile set with a really nice room next to it, just so you can get some really good spawns. As you can see here, I've got this kind of connecting room, which has a really large room next to it, which is giving me really nice spawn rates. We've got our Acolyte, so what we're going to do is we're going to come through here. We're going to just keep our buffs up here. I do have Eclipse on my first to give me some extra damage, and he should spawn just down here, like so. He's going to run over to the stairs, and we can clobber him over there like that. So basically, we're just going to rinse and repeat that until we get a cat buff. Now, he spawned pretty much bang on 5 minutes there, I think. So we're going to expect the next one between 3 and 12 minutes. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll cut the video again until we get to that point. And then we'll kind of wait until we get a Kavat buff, and I'll show you kind of what kind of returns you get, I guess. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so we're on to Acolyte number 2 now. He spawned a bit early at 8 minutes here, so we're going to get back into our same spot. He's going to spawn down here again. We're going to double jump when he hits the stairs. And like so, we're just going to keep stacking up our steel essence in that one spot. So one thing that you should note as well, guys, is that when you get a cat buff, don't feel like you need to pick up all of the drops instantly. Do wait until, obviously, the timer starts running a bit low, just in case you do manage to get those golden overlapping buffs. The most you can possibly get, I believe, within the 2.5 minutes that you have when you get a double buff is, I think, 5 or 6. Now, that's, like, unbelievably rare. I can't exactly remember the chances of someone getting that, but it's so unlikely it's just not worth waiting for. If you are someone who is a bit stingy and you don't want to have to pick up the Steel Essence without a double buff, then you can wait until you get 2 overlapping. But on average, I believe you should get 1 cat buff for double resources every 8 minutes. So when you do get them, even though you can let the timer sort of tick down, I would recommend picking up the Steel Essence when you have 1 active, because they do not come around often, and sometimes you can get extremely unlucky and only get 1 sort of every 20 to 30 minutes, which is just really, really bad RNG. And obviously there is an element of RNG involved in all of this, but if you do wait long enough, you will get 1 in a run. So, you know, hang in there. Don't feel like you have to pick 1 up. But yeah, what we'll do this run, we'll just keep going. We'll keep stacking up until we get a Kavat buff. We'll then let the timer tick down on it and see if we get a double. And then following that, we'll go ahead and just pick everything up and get out of here. So I'll see you guys either on the next Acolyte or when we get a double buff. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, guys. So as you can see in the top right-hand corner there, we've got that big timer ticking down. Now, the last Acolyte did spawn at 8 minutes, or around 8 minutes, 10 seconds, something like that. So we are due for another one fairly soon. Whether or not it will land inside that window is yet to be seen. But what we'll do, we'll keep that ticking down and see if we get another buff to overlap that. Now, it's important that we get our cat up here because that's the thing giving us the buff. We did get another buff there, but unfortunately it was not a double resource booster. So we'll keep going. What I would say when you're waiting for these is that if it ticks down to 20 seconds, that's about the time that you want to sort of pick up your items, because if your cat lives, that is at least anyway, because even though my cat died there, we probably lost a few seconds. It ticks over every 27 seconds, which means that the last buff that you're going to be eligible to get is going to land at 20 seconds. So as soon as it goes past 20 seconds, you want to go ahead and start picking up the resources you've got on the floor. So let's just keep going here. I think we've hit the 5-minute mark now for our next Acolyte. Hopefully he spawns before 15 minutes. That would be a bit unfortunate if he didn't. There we go, we got a double. So very nice, very nice. We were on about 80 seconds, so we'll say 60 seconds to be safe here. So as soon as that ticks down to about 40, we'll go ahead and pick up what we've got, and we'll see if the next Acolyte spawns. So we'll wait until that gets down to 128, and then following that, we'll go ahead and pick up these ones on the floor. That'll give the cat enough time to give us a 3rd buff if it so chooses. It hasn't, so let's go ahead and grab those. There we go, we got 32 essence. And what we'll do now, guys, is we'll wait for this last Acolyte to spawn, and then we'll go ahead and get out. So he should spawn in the next sort of 30 to 40 seconds, unless of course the game's decided to bug itself. Any minute now. There we go. Now I'm pretty sure that our other buff has run out, unfortunately, but you know, 1 buff is still good. So let's get up into our special spot again. Now, if you're going to keep going, obviously, we just leave that on the floor and just keep going. But since we're gonna get out now because kind of the demonstration is over, we're gonna tot up how much we've got. It doesn't really matter, and we had a cat buff active anyway. So let's go ahead and get out. So, let's see how much we managed to get there. That was pretty good. We got a double buff. So, we managed to get about just over 2 per minute that run. So 40 in around 17 minutes, which is really good. Like I said, you'd be looking for at least an average of 1.5 per minute when you're doing this. So, do bear that in mind. But yeah, that's pretty much the basis of it, guys. So, if you do have any questions past this point, then do let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys take note of this and maybe improve on this method a bit. If you do find any other tips and tricks that you can use to sort of boost this drop rate, or even, I mean, you can't really boost it because it's based on a set spawn rate for the Acolytes, but you know, if you find any ways to make it a lot easier, then do let me know down in the comments. If you're struggling to take out the Acolytes in one shot, then do go ahead and, you know, put Eclipse on your first ability. You can go ahead and whack that on. That'll give you easily enough damage to one-shot them. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There'll be more videos coming soon, such as the resource farming guide video for Eidolon hunts. But until that point, guys, yeah, have a nice day, and hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed.